It's go time, and we're gonna get to some of that today in the FiveStack, but I'll tell you something, man, I love the American people, like, I'm reminded of it all the time. Hi, Kat. Hi, Maggie. Come on in, everybody. I know you're all piling into the FiveStack today with my friend Zev Shalev, narrative.org. You can get me at deanblundell.substack.com as well. And it's funny because I had, like, 2 or 3 days where I didn't get a chance to FiveStack with you,
I
and
know.
I
It's
was I
hard.
was I was saying to my friend Steve Schmidt from The Warning, I'm like, I miss it, you know, and he's like, "All right, like you gotta stay in touch with your people."
Yeah.
And I, you know, you feel like you go away for 2 days. Like we were in very, very serious meetings for 2, 3 days, and you go away for 2, 3 days and you come back and you open up your phone and it's like when it's the Trump regime, when it's 2025, when it's fascism versus democracy, it's no longer, you know, the Republicans versus Democrats. Fuck that. And you've got an insane president, a dementia-laden, fascist, moron, rapist, 34-time felon who's hiding the fucking Epstein files, running a pedophile protection racket out of the Oval Office. And the world is bearing down on him, and the work of people like you, so many others who have gotten underneath the floorboards of this fascist fucking shack these assholes built on a beach, and those bombs start going off as we've seen over the past few days and this past, you know, week. You feel like you're out of touch. Like I came back and I'm like, well, wait a second, what's Marjorie Taylor Greene? What's going on with the Epstein files are coming out? Wait a second, there's a tsunami of, like, you know, House representatives moving across the floor from MAGA. Same thing with the Senate. Wait a second, I'm hearing the words like, you know, vote proof veto, where, you know, or veto proof vote from Congress, where Trump is literally on his knees, on his back. And really excited to get to that today because you know what there is today? I'll tell you this, my dear friend, Zev Shalem. There is
What?
fucking hope in America. There is
There's always hope.
genuine
There's
hope.
always hope.
Yeah, but we
Yes.
haven't seen this kind of hope yet, have we? I mean,
There's some real
seriously.
hope coming. Yeah, this is good stuff that we're maybe going to see in the next few days. But the president has his plans. By the way, it's really great to have you back. I'm glad you're using words like y'all because you
Y'all,
never used y'all before. So you're definitely
was in
Americanizing. You were. That's what you would say, y'all. And how is Nashville? Was it? What's the mood on the ground there?
everybody hates Donald Trump.
Everybody.
Everybody,
University.
it is a fucking mirage. You know, I sat next to this beautiful couple. Her name was Amy. His name was Bob. They've been together for 3 years. She's 73. He's 78. Bob's wife passed away a couple years ago. Amy's husband passed away several years before that, and their new love. It was beautiful, new love. I'm sitting next to them. I'm in the hotel bar, and I'm having some French fries and a coffee, and they start. I listen to them talk, and these are very conservative, buttoned down. You know, both went to the University of Tennessee. They were talking about the football team, and they start talking about Donald Trump. And I said, "Excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt. I'm from Canada. I'm very interested, you know, in your kind of, you know, take of what's going on." And this little lady, 73-year-old Amy, looks at me. She goes, "We fucking hate him so goddamn much. He's the fucking worst." And then poor Bob sitting there going, "Yeah, we really do hate him." But they talked about it in terms of what they thought he was and what he isn't. And they never liked him. They had friends that did. Now they've come over. And she said, "I finally got my friends back because people are watching what we've been trying to tell them for so long." You know, so there's this great awakening in the United States. The mirage is still the mirage when it comes to Donald Trump support. And my God, you can't walk 5 feet without a political advertisement hammering you in the face because they've got a special election in Tennessee right now.
Right,
I
they
don't know if you know
do.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's coming
So,
soon.
and if Afton Bain wins, she's the Democratic hopeful in that area. All hell is going to break loose. Like it is, you know, you're looking at a very different set of circumstances going into 2026 on top of all the other things, you know.
Right.
And I
And we
had a
don't.
chance to catch up with her. Actually,
Yeah.
she was lovely, and you know,
You did. You met her.
it's yeah, really nice.
She's gonna
Well,
win.
Afton,
I'm gonna just. To
tough.
It's raspy, so I'll just go old school.
Go old school. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. But you're gonna have to speak up.
I'll speak up.
Yeah, you're gonna have to yell a little bit. But yeah, Afton Baines is a very impressive young lady. And she represents, and Nashville is Tennessee is a very red state, right? Like, there's one thing you don't understand about certain states is,
Right, yeah.
in Canada we've got provinces that are red, we got provinces that are blue, we got conservative provinces, we got liberal provinces, no different. But it's like Tennessee's ground zero, right, for the Republican Party, and she's neck and neck with the Republican that's running, this guy named Van Epps. And I'm fascinated by this race because Afton Baines is very progressive, right? Like, so progressive that it might turn off some people in Tennessee. But people are so disgusted by Donald Trump. People are so disgusted by the Epstein files cover up. People are so disgusted by what he's done to the economy, the price of groceries. People are so disgusted. And this is across the board in the United States, by the reputational damage that man has done to their great nation, that all bets are off. All bets are off.
That's exactly right. Well, let's get into the FiveStack because there is some hope in the FiveStack today. At number 5, in a stunning reversal, Donald Trump went from threatening Republicans who supported releasing Epstein files to suddenly demanding they vote yes, all within 72 hours. After facing the reality that over 100 Republicans were prepared to defy him, Trump posted Sunday night that Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide. This comes after weeks of personally calling lawmakers and summoning them to the White House Situation Room, amongst other places, with his FBI director to block transparency. Dean, you got some good analysis on your Substack, deanblundell.substack.com, where you talk about what's really going on here. Is he's setting a bit of a trap for Democrats and Republicans. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, it's interesting because he completely fucking did a 180. Like, he's been spending all his reputational capital trying to tell everybody that nothing happened. There are no files. It's Democratic hoax. Meanwhile, starting investigations into Democrats for said hoax, who he is maintaining. These Democrats were on the island. They owe their whole life to Jeffrey Epstein. Those are tweets and Truth Social posts that came out this weekend. He sequestered Lauren Boebert into the Situation Room, where he made Pam Bondi and Kash Patel read her the riot act. She's like, fuck, now I got more questions than answers, and I'm for sure voting for the discharge petition. He's got Marjorie Taylor Greene running around, losing her mind, telling everybody to stop believing Donald Trump, and an all-out war in MAGA. That faction is right down the middle. And so now you also have not just rumors, but confirmed news sources that are reporting that they could get over 300 signatures on the Epstein discharge petition. Over 300. That's a veto-proof fucking number coming out of the House.
Is
right?
that veto-proof? Does it automatically become veto-proof? Okay.
290, yeah.
But still, let's get through the Senate, doesn't it?
Well, then you got to get to the Senate. So you need 67. That's your veto-proof number there. And
that's not going to happen in the Senate. I mean,
apparently they may have the numbers. I would agree with you. I think if it's in danger in the Senate. But so
that's
we're
what
looking.
I think he's doing. I think he's busy setting up a situation where he's going to be, I asked for everyone to release the papers. I told everyone to release the files. But meanwhile, he's working on Lisa Murkowski and John Thune and everybody else to block it in the Senate. So it doesn't look like he's doing it. It looks like they're doing it. They get their $1 million paycheck from whatever it was they passed last week for all of this. And they can just walk away. He can walk away by saying, hey, I told everyone to release the files. It's the Senate. It's those damn senators that are stopping it. That could be what he's up to these days. It's plausible.
It's contingency. I agree with you. It's contingency after contingency because he knows he's stooped. He knows it's over. He knows that in the House, they're going to overwhelmingly walk away from him, which will not just be a disaster for him personally, a disaster for him politically, but what it says is we're kind of fucking done with MAGA, dude. Like, if you're this bad and you've been this bad for this long, and these stories that are coming out are true, you've rooked us into being pedophile protectors, and we don't want that on our fucking CV. That's why Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing this, and that's why Don Bacon is now moving over, Lisa Murkowski apparently in the Senate. She plans apparently to vote for the Epstein.
She's wavering right now.
This afternoon, is she?
Yeah, she's turning to a no. And that's because she's got her own little backstory around Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah.
But, who knows what's going to happen in the vote. I think the first thing is we've got to get through tomorrow, see what happens. And, I suspect you're right that it's going to be an overwhelming message from the House to the president saying, not only do we not like you, we're not towing the line on this, on this story. And you can say as much as you want that you're calling for this to come out. Everybody knows what you've been doing for the last 2 months. You've been trying to bury the story. You've been doing everything in your power to bury this story. And the fact that he's now claiming that he has nothing to hide is, bullshit, to put
Can
it.
we get to that? Can we get to that Truth Social post? Do you mind?
Yeah, we can do it right now. Yeah,
Yeah,
go for it.
I've got it here. I'm gonna read it to you. So this is yesterday. So keep in mind, tsunami of people going, "We're done with you, dude." He doesn't have a choice. Now he's got. See, this is the great part about this. Trump's always on the offense. Always likes to lead from the front. Now he's coming in behind Republicans, pretending that. Oh yeah, this is what he said. I said it on Friday aboard Air Force One to the fake news media. House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files. Apparently, he said that on Friday, even though there's no documented record
No, he
of it.
said the opposite on
He,
Friday.
he,
Maybe on
he
Air Force
complete
One.
opposite.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Anyway, and then he says, because we have nothing to hide. Now, the last 3 months would dictate something completely different. And we're not idiots. I'm not going to
I'm
sit
going to
here
get
and
to that in
litigate
a
this.
second because I've got some things that he is definitely hiding, but that's going to
Okay,
happen a
good.
little later on.
Good. Yeah, put that in your back pocket, and we'll get to that in just a second. I've got nothing to hide. It's time to move on from this Democratic hoax perpetrated by radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party. And then he talks about the victory and the shutdown. But this is where it gets dicey. Not only is it not a Democratic hoax, he then goes on to say that he's ordered Pam Bondi to literally go after fucking Democrats for their involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. So he's admitting, even when he talks about the investigation, which is important, the investigation plays a role here because it gives him an escape hatch. But the interesting part is he one hand he says it's a hoax, and the next hand he's like, these Democrats, they did awful things on that island. Just the Democrats, they only did awful things on the fucking island.
It's crazy. This is a Democratic hoax, but they're the ones to blame anyhow for doing those terrible things, which I knew about but didn't tell anyone about. I mean, it's so hypocritical. It's so crazy. It's so out to lunch. It just stuns me. As for the things he's got to hide, I mean, there's a couple of stories, and we'll get to them a little bit later on, but in these, just the Epstein emails, which everyone should remember, the Epstein emails that came out last week are just the emails that Jeffrey Epstein sent. This is not the files from the FBI. This is just email correspondence from Jeffrey Epstein using one of his accounts
from his
to a
estate.
bunch of people. Yeah, this is not the whole picture. This is just, maybe a surface look at what could be underneath there. But we found out in those emails, amongst other things, that Donald Trump was involved in money laundering from the Russians when he sold that house in Palm Beach, the House of Friendship. Now, it's one thing us saying it looked like it was money laundering, but Jeffrey Epstein saying it was money laundering, well, that's a big deal. He also says in that email, and I posted this on the weekend, is that in that deal, a guy named Mark Bolte, was that his name? I think it's Bolte, was involved in sort of fixing and rigging the vote, the bidding for that house. Now, that is the father of the current housing secretary, the guy who is busy, weaponizing the housing database in...
Is that Bill Pulte's dad?
Pulte, sorry, yeah, I should say Pulte. Bill Pulte's dad, Mark Pulte, was involved with Donald Trump in getting that house, which involved Russian money laundering from a well-known Putin oligarch, Dmitry Rybolovlev, or however you say that name. So you've got a Jeffrey Epstein, who was involved in that thing, in his own words, admitting that Trump was involved in a Russian money laundering effort that he never declared on his taxes, that he made maybe $55 million off, maybe more, who knows, and never declared it on his tax returns. You got tax evasion, you got money laundering with the Russians. Just a couple of crimes already contained in just the emails. Never mind what the FBI files are going to say. And that's before we get into the incredible amount of information around the Katie Johnson, which is the emails that revolve around how Epstein reacted to Katie Johnson.
Katie Porter? Oh no, Katie Johnson. Sorry, the 13-year-old. Yes,
I'm sorry, I'm having a terrible time with the names today.
No, it's Katie Johnson. You're right. I got Katie Porter mixed up with Katie Johnson.
You remember that case where she alleged just before the elections in 2016 that Trump had raped her on several occasions, and she had another person, Tiffany Doe, who was also backing her up in that. And we also, from these emails, get to see exactly what Jeffrey Epstein did when he found out that this lawsuit was going to take place. Who did he contact first up? Who's the first person he contacted was Tom Barrack, the guy who was in charge of Donald Trump's campaign financing committee and later was in charge of the inauguration committee. Now, that tells you an awful lot about how seriously Jeffrey Epstein was involved with Donald Trump, when within 4 hours of hearing that this lawsuit was coming his way, he was already on the phone to Tom Barrack, giving them a heads up that this thing is coming their way. I mean, that does not sound to me like Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein don't have anything to do with each other. It sounds like they're
Yeah.
very connected,
Yeah.
especially during this important process as they were about to be elected in 2016. Just a couple of things, and there's so much more within these files.
And you know what, dude? And here's the thing: just those couple of things that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Anybody else, they are hauled out of the fucking White House in chains.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
The rape of a
Anybody else?
13-year-old girl, yes. The work to intimidate that 13-year-old girl, yes, absolutely. Money
Yeah.
laundering with Russians, absolutely, yes. You would get turfed out of tax evasion to the extent to $95 million. Yeah, you get turfed out of the White House. Those are all big, big crimes. Everyone else
Mhm.
pays taxes. The president should too. He shouldn't be hiding them because he got it from the Russian oligarchs. I mean, that's ridiculous. And this is just from emails, right? We don't know what the FBI was really investigating, which is hopefully what we'll get if these FBI files come out, if they haven't scrubbed them all completely.
Well, they may and they may not. I mean, even though we've got this overwhelming majority of, former MAGA or current MAGA, current GOP congressmen and women who are willing to, move over to the other side and vote for the Epstein just discharge petition. The fascinating part is that the contingency plan that Trump and his derelict asshole pals at the DOJ had started kind of putting into motion over the past couple weeks is starting to take effect now. And it's also in this crazy True Social tweet where he says, and I'm just quoting, where he's like, you need to look at various Democratic operatives like Bill Clinton, who was the fucking president. He wasn't an operative. Reid Hoffman, Larry Summers, and their relationship with Epstein, and the House Oversight Committee. And this is the fucking trick. This is the magic piece, everybody. The House Oversight Committee can have whatever they are legally entitled to. I don't care. Interesting language. Let me explain why. A couple weeks ago, Donald Trump goes, Pam, investigate on True Social Media, which is also fucking hilarious. He's telling people to open investigations on his social media. And Pam Bondi's like, yes, sir. No, sir. Right away, sir. I'll do it right now for you, sir. I need you to open investigations into Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, and Reid Hoffman, and Bill Gates, and all these people. They were on Epstein Island. They owe their lives to him. Remember that? We talked about it last week. Fascinating, because there is now an open investigation into these Democrats, just these Democrats that are allegedly in the Epstein files. And goes without saying, Zev and I have maintained this. We don't give a shit what party you were involved with. We don't care who you are. We just want answers, transparency for the victims, and we want the defrauding of the American fucking people to stop. That's what we want. And so this thing here where he's like, what you're legally entitled to, guess what they're not legally entitled to during an open investigation?
Is all the documents underpinning that investigation.
Bingo.
Yeah.
So that's his escape hatch. This whole fucking tweet. Now you've got a bunch of people out there going, Trump did a 180. This is really great. Maybe no, don't be so simple. Don't be so fucking simple. And if you're also one of those maggots out there that goes, he's asking for transparency. No, he's not asking for transparency. He just set the fucking trap. But in setting that trap, he's admitting that this thing he calls a hoax is very, very fucking real, because he, is that stupid, which is also what I took out of the Epstein files drop this weekend before I turn it over to you, is how much all of his friends mocked him behind his back for being literally the dumbest friend in that friend group. Brilliant.
Yeah, no, he really was. Look, this is a serious trap that he set, and it could work. And this is why we need to think beyond tomorrow's House vote and really think into the Senate and who's the most likely to flip in the Senate. And we need to put as much pressure as we can on those senators right now that they are not going to be the ones who are, protecting this pedophile ring, which has been basically throughout 40, 50 years longer, been corrupting America. This is not how America works. These survivors need to have their lives back. They need some closure as much as they can. They need the privacy, and they're going to only get it through these files being released. And we as the American people need to understand exactly what crimes were committed. Because if we've got money laundering crimes that Epstein tried to cover up over a period of time, but then ultimately reveals to Mike Wolf in these emails, What else was there? What other crimes was Donald Trump involved in that the FBI was investigating involving the Russians? Because clearly there's a lot of money flowing into Jeffrey Epstein's accounts all the way throughout the years, $1.1 billion from Russian funds, from Russian banks. Why is he getting all this money from Russian banks? Who's it going to? Did Donald Trump get any of that money? It's possible Donald Trump got some of that money. Did Donald Trump get money from other Russian sources? Absolutely. Did he actually declare all the Russian money laundering funds that he got on any of his tax receipts? No. That is massive tax evasion. Those are huge crimes. And it's not only involving him. It's Pulte as well. Like, okay, so now maybe this guy needs to be under investigation because of his involvement. Is he a Russian operative who's receiving a lot of money from Russian sources illegally? It's a network of people that he is also trying to protect. It's not just Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump and the entire Russian operation, Russian-Israeli operation to impact America. And this is what we need to stop, because if we allow it to continue, if Republican senators basically allow this grift to continue, this criminal ring to continue, there is no future for America. How can they be? We'll just be locked into this endless criminal, backsliding of democracy into autocracy and the theft of America's future.
Can we get? I don't know if this is on the FiveStack because you and I just kind of hot-footed it today, if you will. But that Russia connection, and there's those two emails. One about Vitaly Shurkin, Victor Shurkin, being his handler for a long period of time. Jacob Carsborough served with Shurkin on the UN Security Council. He's like, oh my God, that whole time he was like, he sent me a fucking email. Oh, and we're gonna have him on this week. He's like, oh my God, that whole time he was Epstein's handler. I knew the guy. I worked with him. It's fucking crazy, right? Yeah. So we got that email about how to get information through a former Norwegian prime minister to Lavrov's assistant so he can give it to Putin. And the package was a Trump package, right? You got that email. Then you have, and yes, I'm going to make you talk about this, the Bubba email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this Bubba email, Mark Epstein.
Where Mark Epstein sends Jeffrey, his pedophile brother, and I think Mark Epstein knows a lot, and it would be really nice if he fucking andied up. It'd be really nice if Michael Wolff andied up. That's a whole other conversation. Mark Epstein sends a note to his brother. He's like, "Hey, man, did Bannon give that picture of Trump blowing Bubba to Putin? Question mark.
It's quite an image, eh? You can't lose that image once it's there. It just sticks in your mind. You just can't forget it. And it should be. People can have whatever sexual interactions they want. I mean, it's perfectly okay for people to do whatever they want in their private spaces. I mean,
with the exception that one of the Bubbas being bandied around, is Ghislaine Maxwell's horse.
Yeah, I've heard that. Now, why did she name her horse Bubba, is my question. She was good friends with Bill Clinton.
Listen, I got to tell you something. I think that's the last question we should be asking today. Why did she name the horse Bubba? I think we need to maybe send a vet to check on Bubba.
Maybe we should ask Trump. Why are we calling him Bubba?
So Mark Epstein,
this is getting ridiculous.
This is so fucking great. I get a text from Zev before he started. He goes, "You're going to make me talk about blowjobs and Bubba, aren't you?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure am." So
blushing.
Well, it's a fact of life. Like you said, anybody can do anything they want. I'm not here to judge anybody. If Bubba is just a big Russian girl, great. if Bubba is Bill Clinton, great. But we had a problem.
Does Mark Epstein think we're stupid? Does Mark Epstein think we're dumb? Because he sends out this press release afterwards saying, "Yeah, by the way, it's not Bill Clinton, everybody. I know I mentioned Bubba, which is the name we all understand as being Bill Clinton. It's a nickname we've had for this guy for 20, 30 years now. Yeah. I know I said that, but I didn't mean it was the former president, Bill Clinton. It was some other Bubba, some other inside joke that they might have had. I mean, who else is Trump blowing?"
Very valid question.
It's just too weird. It just doesn't make any sense. Mark, we get it. We understand what you said. We want to know if the picture exists. And, how did that happen? Because
and this is the problem. So Mark, this email exchange comes out. He's like, "That was a text between brothers. I can tell you this, that Bill Clinton is not Bubba. Also, did not deny that there's a picture of this happening." So What's interesting about this, other than how fucking hilarious it is, and God, I hope there's, in the words of James Comey, who got some great news from a judge yesterday, in the words of James Comey, Lordy, I hope there are tapes. I hope there's a picture. I hope there's a bit.
I mean,
I
there's tapes. There's
hope.
obviously tapes.
Yeah,
Not
but I
long ago,
hope we see them. I hope we get the Bubba tape, like, or the Bubba pic, right? Like that's what I'm hoping. But the interesting part here is what is contained in there, where he literally places Steve Bannon
yeah.
in the middle of this Russian op, this interference of by saying, did Bannon give that picture of Trump like Bubba to Putin?
Look, the president has said he's got nothing to hide, and we have to believe the president because he says there's nothing to hide. Meanwhile, you've got his former chief strategist apparently peddling tapes or video or pictures of him potentially blowing either a horse or the former president, and 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 sending that to the Russians. When? When did he send it? And did he get it from Jeffrey Epstein? And Mark, we have so many questions. We have so many questions.
Can we track Mark down? Because I think Mark would be great to talk to about this, even though he's the brother of the world's worst pedophile. Yes. It would be really great to get answers to your point. Was it a horse? Was it? And these are just the first questions. Okay, was it a horse? Yeah. And then he'd give you the answer, and he's like, okay, yes or no. Was it Bill? Was it not Bill? Okay, no. Okay. What the fuck is Steve Bannon doing talking to Vladimir Putin? Like, would you like to answer that fucking question?
Getting photos from Jeffrey Epstein, apparently, or something like that, because that's what it implies in that one email. Look, the fact that and we should try to get ourselves back into the rundown here, but going to talk
that
about
story can count as number 4, by the way. We'll just say that.
We'll count that as number 4. I was going to do Marjorie Taylor Greene, but we'll get there.
Let's
do number 3, and then we're going to get to the rest of these photos, because there are photos, and we'll explain exactly what they are. But number 3 is, in fact, about Larry Summers. So when former Harvard president and Treasury Secretary Larry Summers was pursuing a romantic relationship with a woman he called a mentee, he turned to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein for dating advice. And Epstein eagerly played wingman until the day before the 2019 arrest. The Harvard Crimson, which is doing a great job covering the story, obtained 7 months of texts and emails showing Summers, married since 2005, sharing forwarded emails from the woman discussing the probability of getting horizontal with her using the code name Peril.
He's got, what's his, he used Peril? That was his code name?
Yeah, Peril.
This is Larry Summers?
Yeah, and then but this is for the girl, I think, or the woman.
Oh.
The woman appears to be economist Ku Jian, who is the daughter of a high-ranking Chinese Communist Party official. So, Mr. Summers, maybe you were being stalked in a professional operation. Maybe it wasn't love after all. But who knows? That's just an aside. But so Larry Summers, again, respected dude, a Democrat. We don't care which side of the political spectrum he's involved in. No. I want to know what he did. I want to know exactly what he did, and that's why we need the Epstein files. But it's not going to be okay.
Sorry, can I just ask you a question? Did he really put in an email? What are the chances that we're going to get horizontal? Did he really?
Getting horizontal is the actual quote. Yeah. Can I get
You know what? Listen, I got to give these guys some serious romantic credit, because nothing worms its way into a woman's heart than reading in an email from an old bald fuck. What are the chances that we might get horizontal? ...
I really want to get horizontal with you. It just doesn't.
What are the chances? Let's bring an old one back. What are the chances next time I see you, we're doing the horizontal mambo? Okay. I'm surprised he didn't ask if they were going to go to the bone dance together. Or he didn't invite her to the party in his pants.
If you see what Larry Summers looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, that man is, he's
an attractive man. Dude, there's another thing that came out in these emails. I don't know if you saw this. Leon Black.
Yeah.
Apparently had relations with an underage autistic girl. And I saw this picture of Leon Black, and I'm like, first of all, horrific. Horrific. Second of all,
only Leon Black or recent Leon Black, because it really is it's quite a change over the years.
Star change. Yeah, you got into the food bag. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the answer of that question. None of these guys, and you see, and this is the thing, all of these guys are fucking losers. They've always been losers. They've always been geeks and nerds and incels prior to them, incels having a name. These were all those guys that got their asses kicked in college and university and, went on to, set the world on fire. So they joined political parties and they became part of a cabal and they just can't get chicks. Like they just can't, and pardon my vernacular, they're just terrible with women. Like as you can clearly see, and one of the conversations I had with a mutual when I was at these meetings, it was like, if you notice anything about all of the guys involved in these Epstein files, none of them are Lotharios. Like they're all just a
That was
bunch
this.
of fucking losers, right?
This is how he got that. He got them. He knew their insecurities. He knew how they would never land, in the real world, on their own merits. So they were able to sting these guys with that. And let's face it, Summers was highly compromised. The fact that he's even still associated with Harvard is ridiculous. They should have completely cut off any ties with him. And I hear that he's still actually teaching undergraduates right now in Harvard. And this guy is clearly involved in a long-term dialogue, or call it what you will, with Jeffrey Epstein involving young women and lots more. There are lots more accusations that have come his way. You remember he was the guy who, in that movie about Facebook and in the real life story of Facebook, determined that Zuckerberg actually got Facebook and not the other twins. Because
Yeah.
he's it was all happened out of Harvard. But that as well is apparently part of a compromised affair that happened during that period of time. So he's got a very sordid and tortured and whatever you want to call it history of being involved with various operatives. And he gave Jeffrey Epstein an office in Harvard. He
Yeah.
gave him an office for a
Yeah.
long period of time. Not that he was there that often, but he used it to acquire lots of brains, lots of minds, lots of people in various sectors that he was interested in stealing their knowledge. And he did all that stuff. And he, until the very end there, Larry's still talking to him and still connected to Harvard. And, Harvard's got a lot to answer for that, for sure.
Yeah, and Larry again, young men, if you're going to take cues on how to woo a lady, don't go to the Larry Summers school of let's get together and do the no pants dance stuff, right? Like let's get horizontal. Yeah, again, I listen. As deep as this goes, as wide as this goes, I just want all the bad guys to go to fucking jail.
Yeah,
I don't care if it's
exactly.
Larry Summers. To your point, yeah.
And there's a lot of bad guys to speak of. So the number 2 story is, it's, you remember this, I had an interview with Michael Wolff just a couple of weeks ago. He talked about these photographs. He talked about there being 6 photographs that Jeffrey Epstein showed him of Donald Trump by the pool at his Palm Beach mansion with topless young women from some sort of a Hawaiian tropic, some contest or something. Somewhere in his lap, one shot apparently was showing a visible stain on Trump's pants, and the girls were pointing and laughing. So those photos exist, right? I mean, we know that those photos existed. Jeffrey Epstein had those photos. We also heard about Katie Johnson. Potentially there was video there as well. So we got there is photos and video of Donald Trump involved with women or young girls around Jeffrey Epstein's home. So you got to say, well, where are those things, right? Like where are they? And this is where you get into the conversation of who has the photos and who has the videos. And there's really 3 groups of people who have the photos of the videos. One of them is potentially the FBI, if they've managed to keep them all there. The chain of custody is a bit dubious and maybe something has gone missing. But there's apparently 300 gigabytes of evidence that they were planning to release when these files are out. That includes lots of video, because you don't get to 300 gigabytes without video. You get, that'll be an enormous amount of other content. So it's likely that there's video attached to that. So that's important to note. The FBI might have a lot of these photos and videos. And the other people who may have it are the Russians, because the Russians may have got it through Bannon, through, as we can figure out from that Bubba.
Yeah, you're talking about that Bubba thing again, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they got it because the former deputy police chief of the Palm Beach Police Department made encrypted copies of these entire documents, and then left for Russia with them. So that's the other way. The Russians likely have copies of everything Jeffrey Epstein was doing in his blackmail operation. And the third people who are likely to have it are the Israelis, because it was really their operation in the first place. So, you don't have an operation where Ehud Barak is so close to Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, in so many ways, so close to Jeffrey Epstein
Yeah.
that it seems likely that if they were authorizing an operation like this, they also have the evidence.
So, can I ask you a question about that? Because, we're talking about who might have these files. And I think we all know who might have these files. We all know who has these files. We all know who has pictures. But let me ask you a question. Ehud Barak is the fly in the ointment here, right? For so many people, he was really loved by a lot of Jewish people as a great prime minister.
Yeah, moderate.
Yeah, very much so. And the rumors that he was the prime minister in Virginia Jeffries' Nobody's Girl, Virginia Giuffre's Nobody's Girl, which is her posthumous memoir, who continually, several times, in specifically one time, abused her so badly she was injured for days. Like, and I'm just going to save you all the terribleness because you don't need to know it. Um, where do you think this ends? What do you think would happen specifically? What do you think would happen? And let's just blue sky this. We get the Epstein files dump. It's unequivocal that Mr. Barak and the state of Israel are deeply involved in this somehow, or not just the state of Israel, but Netanyahu, Likud, the state of Israel, I guess. Yeah.
It's more they're trying to at least make it seem like it's just the right wing part of the state of Israel, but it's the state of Israel that obviously authorized these operations. Well,
Over decades. Like this has been going on for decades. He was a Mossad guy. He was a CIA guy. Epstein, I'm talking about now. He was dealt with Russia. He dealt. I mean, lots of different countries that he had his hands in. Like he was really, there's one email I saw the other day. He's like, Venezuela's going to be a great investment for oil. They got more oil than the fucking Saudis, so that's where we need to go next. Like he was like orchestrating this stuff behind the scenes through his relationships. But the one with Ehud Barak, because of the heat around Israel right now. Let's say that this stuff comes out and it indeed points to a deep state operation that has been going on for years, and Israel was handily involved. Because it's easy for the American public to buy that Russia is behind a lot of this, and they are. They're absolutely a player in this. And so it's easy, Americans are going to have no problem shooting their loads off in that direction. But what do you think happens to the relationship with Israel, the Israeli people, if indeed this stuff with Ehud Barak is true?
Well, this is why I think we need to be really precise with the language we're using and identifying, who the real players are, because we're not just seeing an operation that took place for blackmail. It was an operation for economic warfare against America, and largely, the entity that you look at all the time, that I look at all the time, is basically the Russian-Israeli mob, which is both connected to the Russian government, connected to the Israeli right wing as well. But they're different, they're sort of a deep state kind of operation. They exist sort of on their own because they've become so powerful over the years. And that is the nexus that really is running all of this. That's not all the Israeli people. It's also maybe not even people the Israeli nation would have been aware of it. Maybe not even the whole of
Yeah, you really
Mossad.
need to nuance that conversation in 2025. Like you really have to your point.
Yeah,
You got
I
to
think
be
it's
very
really
specific.
important, and you can't hide from the Israeli stuff because it's there, and you can't read all these Ehud Barak emails. There's 1,000 emails, that were just released in a hack recently. And gee, I mean, if he wasn't handling Jeffrey Epstein, I don't know what he was doing. He was like calling him and emailing him almost every day with, "Hey, you up? Give me a call. Da da da. I'll see you this week. I'll see you that day." You're calling Putin. You're doing like it's too obvious that that's what the handle was. So if he was doing that, who was he doing it for? Was he doing it in this quasi deep state kind of environment, which is what it feels like, because they were investing in a lot of 8200, which is the intelligence wing of the Israeli intelligence, or military intelligence. They're investing in a lot of the companies that came out of that. Russian oligarchs were, Jeffrey Epstein was, Peter Thiel was, Ehud Barak were. I mean, that's the same players all the time in the story. And there was people like Viktor Vekselberg, a Russian oligarch who happens to live in Israel. And there's lots of Russian oligarchs who've also made their home in Israel. So it starts getting very murky between those things. But it's the mob, it's the deep state part of that environment that really is responsible for this. And it's very easy to fall into nationalist sort of
Sure, yeah.
um, stereotypes here,
Well,
but it's
that's the
not
fear.
that.
That's why I asked you the
Yeah.
question, right?
Yeah,
Y
it's a real fear of mine, and you watch the Nazi, growth in America, and X continually pushing all this neo-Nazism. It really is a real quagmire that they're putting everyone into. But it's not Israel per se. It's an entity within Israel that has been causing havoc in the American economy and in American politics, and also working with the Russians, because this was the nexus. The nexus was the Russian Israeli mob, and that's really where you have to sort of focus your efforts. Now, it's going to be tough to maneuver your way around that, because a lot of people are just going to say Jews, and they're going to say Jews, and they say Israel. It's just not as simple as that.
Mm. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and worth noting, right? Like, no matter what happens or what we find out, and you cannot paint all people with the same brush. You're going to paint one bad person from that group of people with, right? Or a group of people. It's very mega. Make Israel great again. Make America great again. Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, one and the same to their own citizenry, right? They really are. The misrepresentation there, and the people that are behind that. And to your point, it's not something that's talked about, but that Russian Israeli connection, the mob, the deep state, to your point, and I don't think people understand that there are bigger forces here that have so much more to do with why we're talking about the Epstein files, and how angry people are, and how sad people are, and how frustrated people are that they're being defrauded this information, and these victims are still sitting there. Like, I don't know if you saw that Epstein victim video with these girls, these victims holding up pictures. Have you seen it?
Which one? I've seen the video. Yeah, the new PSA that came out. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. The new PSA that came out with these victims, and these girls, these women, these courageous women, holding pictures of themselves at that age, probably in a time when they were wrapped up in this pedophile trafficking ring. Yeah, and the look on some of their faces as they're reliving it and they're holding these pictures makes me emotional talking about it. Because if anybody knows anything about trauma, there are broken little girls, and they're holding these pictures of themselves as broken little girls, wide-eyed optimism, being broken, being abused for years and years and years, and they're standing there with this picture, and that little girl that's in that picture is this broken little girl inside of each one of these women. And when I see and hear and read the extent of it as we're talking about it, it is heartbreaking. So when we get that vote tomorrow, and Zev and I and Lev and Waj and a few other people are going to be breaking in during the day to talk about this vote, we're expecting a tsunami, as we talked about off the top here on the Five Stack. I hope that everybody remembers that past the joy of political retribution. I hope we remember what we're here for tomorrow, because when we talk about all the craziness, the Bubba emails, the clear links, the triggers, the silencing network, the reason for this protection racket, it's easy to lose sight of that, because everybody's like, "See, we told you so." This isn't an "I told you so" thing tomorrow. This is a moment, hopefully, where so many women and men who were children, who were sucked into and abused by so many of these people, so many terrible individual, bad guys and bad girls, that they get the relief and the release that they need tomorrow. So just a heads up, and I wanted to
It's
make sure
such
we
an
put that
important
in.
thing you're saying. I'm just thinking about that Virginia Giuffre book, when she writes about Hood Barak, and then she goes to Jeffrey Epstein afterwards and tells him how awful it was. And he says, well, that's just the way it is sometimes. That's the stuff you got to deal with. I mean, it's just the worst trap you could put a person in their life. And we know that she took her life a few months ago, having endured so much tragedy. And
Yeah.
I know some of the victims. I can tell you that there's that story of heartbreak and lost potential, and people who came to New York. The Katie Johnson story is all about her arriving at 13 looking for a modeling career, because that was the thing that you did. And she arrives at the New York bus terminal, and she's met there by another teenager who works for Epstein and basically lures her in, according to this affidavit. And this is a 13-year-old girl who's trying to live her dream. I don't know what led her to New York at that age to do that, but she was doing that into the arms of these hypocritical, criminal, richer than rich network of guys who were just going to obliterate their future, who just wanted to
Mm.
destroy everything about them. and causes much trauma and as much pain as you could possibly imagine. This is the story of thousands of people like that, 1,000 people that the president of the United States has been trying to cover up for the last 2 months, that he continues to try and cover up for. And it's a tragedy that America will have to deal with for a long time. I mean, this is the kind of this is real tragedy. That it's a stain that we can't really easily remove, and it's something that we need to confront ourselves with about what kind of government we have, and why so much of this was allowed to happen with so many people knowing, because so many people did know. At the end of the day, it comes down to where our central morality is. I mean, we're a moral people. We believe in morality. We believe in projecting that morality around the world. And if we can't have it at home, then who are we? We can't go projecting that elsewhere if we don't have it, if we're not living it ourselves. It just makes no sense. So I agree with you. Tomorrow's a big day for this vote, and we'll be live all day, as you point out, and it'll be a good time for us to remember the survivors in all of this. And I'm glad they did that PSA. It's really strong.
Yeah, it is.
The number one story is actually going to be all about Bill Pulte and his money laundering, which we already covered. So
MTG. You want to get to MTG?
yeah, let's talk to MTG. We skipped over her earlier on. So this is the most surprising thing, is that MTG is turning out to be a really fine person, as it turns out. I don't know if I'm buying the hype. I'm buying the hype a little bit. I think she's not just playing it. I think she's actually real. And she apologized on CNN yesterday.
Did you see that?
Involvement. I mean, that is stunning, that she was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry for all the toxic politics I was sharing with you." I mean, that is a self-awareness that I'm not seeing from many other Republicans. And if she's actually achieved that kind of Republican, higher ground, then good for her. And certainly the president took it out on her. You had this story on deanblundell.substack.com about how the president was just about to completely reject her in every way. And she was getting death threats, and he dismissed those. Tell us more about what was going on there.
This is, there are obviously interesting parts to this. Is the most interesting part because it speaks to what everybody wants, no matter how hardened you are, right? Everybody wants justice for victims. Everybody wants to know the truth. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene is still insane. Let me just point that out. And the self-awareness she's displaying, she's doing it out of survival. She was passed over for a promotion. She wanted to run for governor. She was told no because Trump wanted to keep her in Georgia in that seat because that gives him this majority, blah, 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 blah. So, and Tara Palmieri's done some great reporting on this, actually. So I would encourage everybody to go and interact with her content when it comes to Marjorie Taylor Greene's motivation. She's politicking. She's not just pissed off that she got passed over, isn't allowed to explore her political ambitions because, she's just an asset to Trump, which she's now fucking realized. But she's politicking for a couple of very specific reasons. One is she wants more, was not allowed to have it. Number two, she was passed over for a couple of prime appointments when Donald Trump set his cabinet, and she thought she was a shoo-in, like literally. Like Tara walked up to her in an event, and she's like, so what do you think? This person's going to get this job. Oh, that person's got a heritage score of 81. They're terrible. It should be me, right? Like that's the kind of stuff that happened prior to her turning coat, if you will. So the other thing is that, I go back to the first story. There is a tidal wave of GOP members coming that are looking at the nuclear bomb underneath the floorboards of this bullshit castle that Donald Trump has built on protecting pedophiles and money laundering, that are now starting to realize, I think we might be at a runway. I think if we support this guy when it comes to this issue, we're all going to lose our jobs. We're going to lose our car service. We're going to lose our pension. Some of us might go to jail for being accessories after the fact. Some of us might go to jail for some of us might go, they might lose the party. Some of us might go to jail for okaying and being cool with him bombing people in the Caribbean for no fucking reason. Some of us might go to jail for crimes against humanity when it comes to these ICE raids. See North Carolina this weekend, see Chicago, see every single state or city that's a blue sanctuary state or city where he's literally beating the shit out of Americans and migrants and people that are not white. It's kind of a fact. And they're starting to see this guy swirl the drain, which is fascinating because he's been in front of everything every time you turn around. It's amazing how he gets in front of it. He's playing catch up every
Yeah.
day for the first time. Oh my God. And like Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's got designs to become the president. That'll never happen. And she's now this measured voice who did the nuclear thing on CNN. To your point, Dana Bash is like, this is all well and good that you're going up against Trump and his toxic politics now that you're being threatened and swatted and threatened with pipe bombs and threatened online, threatened with phone calls. But like you did a lot of that stuff too. And Marjorie Taylor Greene does this. You know, I just want to apologize for all that shit. I'm really sorry. You know, it was toxic. I was caught up in it. It won't happen again. I've made mistakes and it's time to bring the temperature down. She's one of the chief bottle washers of that cult and was for the better part of a fucking decade. Right? Like literally the better part of it. She was it. She was the pillar. Like there's a video of Donald Trump. I don't know if you saw it about a year ago when he was campaigning like an idiot, and he's like, "There's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Ooh, she's the toughest. She's the best. She's the best MAGA has to offer. God, I'd hate to be her enemy." And if you remember that
She was
video,
going to be his VP. I mean, she was actually being considered to be his VP.
so
Yeah.
yeah, and to that point, she thought she was because he lied to her, and now she's finding out. She's finding out what all of us already knew. She's finding out what she willingly decided she wasn't going to believe, and she's now on the receiving end of what she was on the delivering end for the better part of a decade. So, sure, great crisis of conscience, self-awareness. You could say that you're on team MTG now. I definitely am not, but she's a weapon and a utility.
Gee, I will say that it's impressive that she's actually saying the word. This is an actual quote. I would
I'm
like to
sorry.
say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country. I'm committed to putting down the knives in politics. And then she does it. And then she actually backs the Epstein file release, which is, maybe the deciding vote, one of the deciding votes in potentially having this release happen. To me, that's not just saying things. That's taking real action against the president of the United States. And sure, she's a politician. Sure, she'll do the expedient thing. She'll do whatever she wants to gain power. But she's actually doing it. I mean, she's not just talking the talk. She's doing it.
Totally. But the other thing here, and this is worth noting, is that she has a massive following of people in the Christian faith, the evangelical faith. She's very much America first, right? Like to the point where she's still hammering away on giving money away to foreign countries, like she's doing it even today. And what she's going to take with her is that kind of crazy heartbeat of MAGA, because she was the craziest. Like she really, really was. And so her followers are going to follow her. Some might have a crisis of conscience. Some might call her a traitor. But generally speaking, Marjorie Taylor Greene has her own people. And what she's going to do is literally, and she's doing it now, and Trump's helping her because he can't help himself. Just cannot help himself. Calling her Marjorie Trader Brown.
Really, I saw
Marjorie.
that. But just to bring this full circle to what you were saying earlier on as we started the show, Americans don't like Donald Trump. And she represents those Americans in the South that don't like Donald Trump. I mean, it's not like you're seeing a huge opinion poll swing in favor of Donald Trump. He is about as low as you can go. And she knows that. She knows where he's political dead meat. So she's doing the right expedient thing. And she's also listening to her constituents. It's exactly what you want someone to do when you're in the House representing the people of America. And she's doing it. So, it's bad news for Donald Trump. I can see why he's so mad. I can tell he's mad at her. I can see that.
Ooh, I know why he's really mad now. Yeah, I mean, hey, like he lost one of his greatest assets, right?
Yeah,
she's going to take a bunch of assets with her, and there is no coming back from this. That relationship is over if you're following this stuff. To your
There's
point,
also potentially no coming back from this for Donald Trump if he successfully. If he's unsuccessful in his attempt here to kill this, and he's trying, he's going to try to kill this in many ways. But if he's unsuccessful in his attempt to kill this, how is it possible that Donald Trump survives what might be coming? I mean,
He
unless they
doesn't.
hide everything, I mean, that's the only thing. It's just not possible. It's not
He
possible.
doesn't. He doesn't. And that is the good news. And I am so grateful I got a chance to deliver that good news with my very dear friend, Mr. Zev Shalev, narrative.org. Where are we at with the greatest heist series? You got
Put out
more?
chapter 2 yesterday, and it got really well received by everybody. It's a really interesting, if you want to read it. It's all about being inside J.P. Morgan when they find out that Jeffrey Epstein is a pedophile, and the kind of stunning internal dialogue that was happening with actual quotes from people inside JP Morgan. These are actual executives, deciding whether they'll keep him or not. His relationship with Jess Staley, who was the CEO of their wealth and asset management division. And he was best of friends. He used to travel to the island with Jeffrey Epstein, decided to keep him as a client all the way to 2013. And then there's Jamie Dimon, who we introduced you in the last chapter, actually knew these guys from Ohio. And that he also, we leave a bit of a cliffhanger this week where it's like, okay, there's Jeff Epstein has a secret that Jamie Dimon has to keep him on as a client. And that is a offshore holding called Liquid Funding, which we'll get to in the next couple of chapters, which leads into the whole 2008 crisis. It's really interesting. I mean, I love the story. It's like, I love
Dude, you
writing it. I
cracked the
love
code. That's I keep telling people. Like I get comments from people like, Zev is. I have. Where's Zev been? I'm like, he's just been toiling away, and now everybody's starting to read your shit. Like now everybody's like, oh my god, he's right, and you're getting co-signed from people like Vicky Ward, Lev Parnas, Michael Wolf, like so many people. Tara Palmieri, Ellie, who's doing some incredible reporting. I know she is also way on the tip when it comes to this kind of stuff.
great stuff. Ellen is a must follow on this, and she's just
Yeah,
really on the ball on this all the time.
yeah, she's incredible. She got to the bottom of the Dersh stuff too, which is awesome. I'd encourage you to go read that. The
It was going to
Panic
be a Hood
Unpaid
Barak
Writer.
piece, the thing
Yeah,
about the prime minister, who's the prime minister in Virginia Giuffre's book is all from Ellie Leonard's post a few weeks ago. So people should really check that out.
yeah,
She does a great job at dissecting that. So that's the
yeah,
greatest heights of
absolutely.
narrative. What do you have at deanbundell.substack.com? You guys did a
Most of
great
the shit we
job
talked about
yesterday
today.
with
Just
Lev.
was that?
Yes. You did a
What did
great
you
job
say?
with Lev on Saturday. I think I quoted yesterday, but it was
Oh
a
yeah,
great
yeah, yeah.
show.
Coffee and
Love that.
tea with Levin Dean. Yeah. Encourage everybody to go and check that out. Paid subs as always get a chance to chat with us. We drive a ton of content. In fact, all of it from the Q&A portion on Saturdays. And we bring people up. We had Ellie on the show too. There she goes. He's about to get buttered up, she says. She's talking about Barack. The She's so funny. Anyway, long story short, we've got that over at deanblundell.substack.com. We've also got a little piece on Wayne Gretzky and why Canada hates him. Yeah, it's because of Trump. Just letting you know. I'm just telling everybody. It's like
Yeah.
Canada's turned its back on its golden hero. But a really great piece. And then we've got the real understanding of what's going to happen in the next couple of days, specifically with this vote. The details behind the Bubba story, which are really connected to Russia, even though it's super funny. And yes, we want those pictures. At least I do. I can't speak for Zev. I want those pictures. But right now, we've also got 25% off for the end of the month. So you get your annual subscription. You can lock it in. And founding members only pay once, $8 a month, I think. But more importantly, free or paid. Folks, just so grateful that you're helping us grow this community. Between Zev and I, we've experienced some really incredible growth and support because we're you and we can't help ourselves. And the fact that we get to do it with an army of incredible Canadians, Americans, people from all over the world who subscribe to deanblundell.substack.com or who subscribe to narrative.org through Substack. It's been the honor of my lifetime. We're going to chase this down. We're not going to let it go. And we want to do it with you. So please go and subscribe if you can. Keeps the lights on where we are, and it keeps us motivated and fed and moving forward. Free or paid again. All good. Just grateful that you're interacting, grateful that you're sharing, grateful that you're liking, which is really, really, really important when it comes to the algorithm. So thank you all for spending some time with us. That is it for the Five Stack for today. That is Zev Shalev. I am Dean Blundell. We will see you tomorrow at 3, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, my friend?
We will be tomorrow at 3 plus live special coverage. I'm not exactly sure when it will start.
We'll be on all
depending
day.
when the vote happens. Vicky Ward's going to join us. We've got a whole great lineup tomorrow, so everyone should check it out when we do the live coverage of the vote on the discharge petition live from the Hill. We'll see that tomorrow. And I've got Mike Brock coming up at 7 o'clock, which should be really interesting. Current crypto guy, actually, but the last liberal in the tech sector is how I'm labeling him. And he's got a great Substack, but he'll be...
Substack's called The Circus, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it's really good. It's good.
Oh,
It's good.
he's a moralist. Like if you want, like he's so good. He's not only detail oriented, but he looks at everything from a moral or decency perspective. He's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, he's made a ton of crypto. Say that that's what it is. That's where he makes his money. But he's also a good, decent guy with lots of good ideas. So we'll talk to him at 7. We'll find out what he's all about. So
All right, buddy.
we'll join me then.
Have a great
See you
day.
tomorrow. So good to have you back.
Great to be back. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.